Hi guys! Today I want to talk about something really interesting because to have this realization, I had to reverse engineer my relationship experiences. And I believe that this will be very interesting for many women because there are many women nowadays that struggles with manifesting a relationship where there are mutual feelings and mutual interest at the same level. And many women, they go on endless dates, they meet lots of men, and they either have many dates that didn't lead to anywhere, or they might get themselves into situationships where they are often confused about what the men want and what their feelings are towards them. And I realized that there is something that actually really helps me to avoid these kind of situations. Because you see, I haven't had many relationships in my life in the past. And in all those relationships, only one of them that we didn't fall in love. Neither of us fell in love with each other. And what happened is that even if there were relationships where actually there was a phase of situationship where we weren't sure where the relationship would go, the feelings were still mutual, they were still real. So I tried to reverse engineer to see what is really the key, to manifest these relationships. And these relationships only are possible, falling in love with each other, having real feelings with each other is only possible when there is a heart-to-heart connection, at least on some degree, on some level. Because you see, we humans, we often have lots of traumas, lots of blocks, lots of insecurities that are actually blocking this heart-to-heart connection. So our capacity to actually connect with each other as human beings, to fall in love, etc., also depends on how many traumas that we have, like how aware we also are and how we can work through this and around this. And then, well, besides the traumas, blockages, another crucial thing is that, you see, there are three things. One is the traumas, blockages. Another is the organic connection. If you really have this organic chemistry that can lead to eventual bonding, eventual deepening of the connection. Because if there are two people who are too different, too incompatible, then of course they wouldn't really develop much of the connection because they cannot really have points of connections, right? And then the third thing is also the having relationship skills. So for example, understanding how the masculine feminine polarity works, what are the masculine needs in a relationship, the feminine needs in a relationship, where each other comes from, so that why we tend to respond in certain ways when there are certain situations, for example, arguing in the relationship, and then how to communicate and interact in the way that can foster connection instead of more conflicts. So these are the three major things. But one key that really helped me to, how to say, to really align with relationships that there are a capacity for mutual feelings is that really my inner narrative, my inner desire that, because ever since I was young, ever since I was little, there is this inner desire and inner narrative that I desire to experience relationships where there is really this real connection, really fall in love with each other. And it's interesting because what happens is that this inner narrative is so strong that what happens is that whenever I meet men who doesn't seem to, show enough interest, or they are like inconsistent, like you can feel, that at the slightest feeling of it. For example, when I've been on dating apps 2 times in my life, and in those 2 times, there are many men who matched with me, and it happens a lot in dating apps because, like, you see, men, they tend to swipe like positive, often in numbers, but women tend to be more selective. So when I met many men through dating apps or even in real life, when I sense that they are not really too into putting in the effort or too into me, or showing interest in some shape or form. For example, they might be talking for a long time, but then they take time to respond, or then they don't really initiate much conversation. All these signs, instead of me thinking, oh, what's wrong with me? Why are they not attracted to me? Like, what is it with me? Instead of making it about me, what's wrong with me? Actually, my inner narrative is so strong that all this actually becomes a turn off for me. So what it means that I sense that this situation is not really juicy. He's not really arousing feelings of excitement, feelings of anticipating what can really be there. Like, when a man doesn't really show much of it, and they are just feeling like they are just dragging the situation, it makes me feel that, okay, maybe I'm just another number in his rotation. Because when we are dating, we are really meeting different people to see with whom we have more compatibility, chemistry, connection. So whenever I feel that, okay, he might be keeping me as a plan B, then he might not really be very interested in me. Then for me, it is an immediate turn off. Because for me, I really, really desire this, how do I say it? Really, like, I want the kind of romance that a man seeing me like, oh, this is a gem actually, and I want to know more about her. I want to, show this interest. Wow, there's something in her that is captivating me. And you have to understand that maybe we might not always have this kind of feeling right away, or like, like falling in love at first sight and all, because sometimes we might be more oblivious and all. But when, like, with some people, we will have that sooner or later. Like, we immediately notice, and then there is something that really captivates it in some shape or form, even if it's not, right away obsessive thing, because that might also not be very healthy. But if that person doesn't seem too interested, and maybe he's just keeping you as oh, okay, this woman looks beautiful, but not exactly my type, or oh, makes me want to chase her right away. Maybe they have another woman that they are more interested in. Those kind of things signal to me that, okay, they are just keeping me as a backup or anything. And if I am not really the chosen one, or that the one that immediately had something that captivates them in some shape or form, to me, I really doesn't feel juicy for me, because I want the love story, and I don't want just a random situationship story. Okay, so this is how I feel that it's actually helping me internally to really, how do I say, not align myself with just any person that might have some minimum level of interest and compatibility, but actually with something that can actually develop into something deeper. And I'm a lazy woman, okay? I don't really like to have a PhD on seduction, on remembering all those scripts, like what attracts men, what, like how to do the messaging, how to this and that, and etc. So what I like is that while I learn relational skills, so that I can have a better space. Like, for example, understanding where I might have my own traumas coming up as insecurities. And why do I, as a woman, respond or react or feel a certain way in certain contexts? And how to navigate through relationship challenges and situations, how to understand men, where they come from, and how to foster better communication. I don't learn relational skills to be, like to be that seductress that I captivate any man, every man, etc. I turn all the heads and etc. etc. There's a video that I did, I think probably last week. So it's the previous video that I talked about the wife energy versus the siren energy. And in there, I talked about, the wife energy is more subtle and doesn't really go to a room and attract everyone. But then when she captivates someone, when someone notices her and when they start to interact with her, they will notice that she's actually a gem. And I prefer to actually go through an interaction, go through a relationship, go through dating, where I can be as authentic as possible. Of course, and understanding how men and women operate and all those things, but I don't want to, have to memorize, learn how to seduce any man, and then, adapting myself like a chameleon towards each man, because I understand a lot of the psychologies. Like I actually learned a lot because that is what fascinates me, okay? Ever since I was little, like what is it that attracts each other? What is it that makes two people want to bond and connect? But I don't really want to have a love story where the other person falls in love with the mask of me and not the real me. And then, in subconscious level, people can always tell that there's something off. Then they are not really, truly there in love with me. And then I also wouldn't feel happy because deep down subconsciously, I would know that this man doesn't love me for who I am. So there is a lack of safety because it feels like unless I perform continuously and without fail, the moment I fail, he might fall out of love with me. So I am a lazy woman. I like to be loved by who I am, including all my flaws, all my neediness. And if I feel needy, I would show my neediness like, hey, I want a hug. Hey, I want a kiss. Hey, I want this. I want to be pampered, etc., etc. And, you might say, oh, Monica, then you might actually get taken for granted if you are, showing signs that you are in love with him or that you are emotionally attached to him, etc., etc. But I can tell you that, like, I never really felt taken for granted for a very simple reason. Because whenever I show my vulnerabilities, my neediness, all of the emotions that the other person can elicit in me, for example, when they hurt me or when they make me happy, etc., etc. They also know that if I am really not happy in a relationship and if something is not really aligned, I would walk away from the relationship, and they know it. And they know that I am, besides being emotionally capable, I'm also financially capable to walk away from a relationship that is not aligned with me. So they know that ultimately they cannot take me for granted and that I'm still a woman of my own, okay? I'm my own woman still. So even if I need them, and it's natural. It's natural that we need each other in a relationship, okay? So the thing is that I'm a lazy woman. I don't like having to wear a mask, fake it so much that, I have to remember all the scripts. And I am a capable woman. I can live my own life. I have my own career, my own higher purpose and all. So I don't need to have a man to survive, but I need a man to experience the relationship, the joyous experience that my heart so much desires. And that is to, be this main character who is loved by who she is, by the passion she feels for life, for her higher purpose, and all the uniqueness, all the even the cute flaws. I want the man who will look at my flaws, look at my annoyance, look at my neediness in the way that he finds cute. Like, oh, Monica can be so annoying at times, so demanding with her hugs, but complaining in a way that he is actually proud. He is actually happy that I am this woman, and that he knows that he cannot take me for granted, because the moment I feel that something is fundamentally not aligned, I would walk away. Okay? So, because of this strong inner narrative, then whenever there's a man who shows up in the dating scene that really doesn't show much interest or much progression, like, for example, he would send message every once in a while or take a longer time to respond in the dating app, or, not really wanting to meet yet in person to take the initiative to do so, then I would eventually lose interest, because I would feel that, okay, he is not really the match, the juicy masculine that I really want, I really desire to experience. Then I will just let him go, so that he might find someone more compatible with his progression, his pace, his energy. While I want something juicier, okay? I want something that really, really makes me feel like this is woman that can surrender, that is pampered. And when I'm in this juicy state, I would also want to pamper him in my own ways, but not in the ways that I am chasing him. But I like to be chased in the healthy manner in which he wants to pamper me. And I want to be pampered. And this is the relationship experience that I want. So I don't feel exactly entitled to this, like, oh, a man must treat me like this, and etc., because I actually treat it as a gift from the masculine that brings. And of course, there are responsibilities when we get into the relationship, that we take care of each other, that we are considerate with each other's need, and we try our best to fulfill each other's need. But what I feel is that I want someone who is complementary to what I desire. So I don't take it for granted. I don't really take it as something that I am entitled to have. But actually, having someone that is a willing participant, also desires to be the complementary of this kind of experience, this is the kind of man that I want to align myself with in the relationship experiences. So, if you find this really juicy and you want to learn more about it, I have this course, The Share Stream Girl, in which I talk a lot about our unique feminine flavors, because each of us women, we have a unique, delicious flavor combination, okay? And how we are bringing it out, because you see, we are often blocking parts of ourselves. We are often hiding parts of our juicy selves because of social conditioning, because of childhood, because we might have learned that, oh, this part of me is not safe to bring it out, because they might tell, oh, you're too much, oh, you're this, maybe you don't. For example, there are little girls that loves dancing, loves singing, but imagine an adult one day coming to, hey, maybe you should, not have so much energy, just behave, etc. Then what happens? This juicy side of her might be blocked. And then this part of her that she could actually bring to adulthood, to romantic relationships, the radiant, feminine, juicy energy that's like dancing, singing, being herself. Like, it's an invitation for the masculine to join in this juiciness, this pleasurable energy. But if she blocked it in some shape or form during childhood or as she grows up or in any past relationship, then she's not really bringing it. But many women, we have unique combinations, flavors, part of ourselves that are actually really juicy. And then, many men, they are actually craving for, because the feminine range is the many types of colors that the masculine wants to see, wants to experience. This is an invitation for them to have more pleasure, have more fun in life. So, like, I am already going through a lot of places right now. But anyway, if you want to learn more about this kind of things and how to bring in your feminine juiciness, your feminine range, how to intoxicate and have fun with the masculine in a healthy manner using these energies, and also how does the masculine and the feminine a polarity can be developed in a relationship so that you can have a sustainable attraction in which both of you actually feel that your needs as the masculine and as the feminine are fulfilled in a juicy manner. Check out my Shares Dream Girl course. And my name is Monica, and welcome to the Blooming Feminine Academy.